What is up, Glory Gang?
Yo.
Welcome back to another episode of the Glory Boys podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Darren.
And I'm your other host, Austin.
And we're so glad that you're here with us. Today, we're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to catch you guys up. It's been a minute. The last several episodes, we had guest speakers. We just love having people in their expertise, being here, imparting their knowledge into us, into you guys. And we really love it. And we're going to continue bringing on guests all the time. But today, before we move any further, let's roll that intro. All right, Glory Gang.
All right.
Today is the day. It's podcast day. And we're super excited to be here with you. We're chilling right now in our content studio, and it is now officially 100% done.
It is.
Which is like
completely done.
That's like the best thing ever.
I never thought I'd see the day.
Austin doesn't have much of a voice. We've shot like 14 YouTube videos in the last couple of days.
Yep.
And just talking a lot. And I make him talk because he knows all the gear, nerd specs of everything. So I'm just like, yeah, this is cool. And then he goes off on a 10-minute rant on why technically it's great. Speaking of gear, we bought some new gear.
We did. So the last time we recorded a podcast, actually, we didn't even have a table in this room.
That's right. Yeah.
And I don't think, was the background finished? I think the background
we don't
finished.
even have our sign up.
Whatever. That's fine.
The Glory Boys sign is, we took it down because we were finishing the room and totally spaced it. It's actually right behind me on the ground, but I'm not going to hang it right now. So
no, we don't have time for that, but you'll have to deal with it this week. But as you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, the content studio is looking great in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But we have been getting gear and really been, I guess I don't even know where we left off. Did we even have the apertures the last time I don't think so.
We just have purchased a lot of really great gear. Just give us a quick little rundown of like what we've purchased, what has joined the family.
Yes. So since our last podcast episode, just you and I believe, we purchased 6 Aperture Nova P300Cs.
What's that?
And those are panel lights. They are incredible. Full RGB AW panel lights that are just awesome. We have them rigged up in the ceiling in our studio, running through DMX. They're all daisy chained together, so you can program lighting. You can do different effects, any color you want, any color temperature range. It does like 2,000 all the way to 15,000 Kelvin, as well as full RGB. So those are really cool.
Yeah.
We've been experimenting with those on various shoots. We used it with green light to do a green screen.
Yeah.
And that worked okay. And then we've been using a bunch of different colors, lighting effects, shooting music videos in there, shooting different stuff. And that's been super fun.
Yeah, we've been loving them. Really like learning and growing a ton and just being able to create a really cool atmosphere with lighting. It's been so much fun. I know you've been really geeking out about it.
Oh yeah.
I'm like sitting at the director's monitor like, this is so cool. We can do so much. And it's just sick because you can either just with the touch of a button on your app on your phone or just go to the computer and like play around. We're still learning, but it's been just night and day with some of the stuff that we can do and continue to do.
Yeah, this week, actually, we shot a music video in the studio.
Yep.
And we used the lights to cycle from one side of the studio to the other on repeat to kind of simulate as though you're passing by street lights. Now, it was it was not very realistic. It was purple lighting with the purple Challenger, lots of haze, lots of cool lighting. So it was intentionally studio feeling, but we were able to kind of emulate that just by programming the lights to roll from one side to the other. So that was really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, we put a full Challenger, a 2013 Dodge Challenger. It was like fully purple and beautiful. We backed that thing into the studio and it fit all the way
perfectly.
And so we couldn't get any crazy like big wide shots, but I was pretty impressed with how we could fit the car in pretty easily.
Yeah,
we had to park the van in there a couple times and it's nuts what we can do with the size of the space is pretty solid, but it's kind of a little awkward. It's a little bit longer than it is deep. And so maneuvering a car in there, I didn't know if it was going to be challenging, but honestly, it fit just perfectly.
the Challenger was not challenging.
Hey, there it was.
The studio.
Nice.
So we did that. Got the studio pretty well built out. So stay tuned. Be looking on our social media platforms. We will be dropping promos for that space soon, super soon. We want to start promoting it, really allowing people to rent it out and be able to shoot things in there and level up their level of production.
Yeah, we actually had somebody reach out to us on Instagram the other day, and this week they came and toured the space and just fell in love with it. And they said they had tons of ideas and a lot of excitement around the fact of, man, I would love to use this space to shoot my podcast and maybe some of my content here. And so we're excited to just see that grow, have more of you guys come into our space and just use it and shoot in it and just make your dreams come true here. Because really that's why we wanted to make these spaces, so that somebody can bump in here and maybe not have very much gear or great audio equipment or anything, and they can have a quality podcast by using some of our stuff. And even if they need the help of us to edit it or teach them how to post it, we want you guys to win. And so we created this space not only for us to do this stuff, but for you guys to do it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The next big piece of gear is actually sitting on the table right here in front of me. And that was super exciting. I did an in-depth few videos. I've actually shot like 5 or 6 videos regarding this camera this week. So stay tuned for those. But we did pick up 2 Sony FX3 cameras, which so far have been incredible. We're due for an upgrade. We obviously bought and sold the Ursa, and it just really wasn't what we were looking for. It didn't really fit within our production workflow.
Yeah.
But shot 2 projects on the FX3 this week, and it feels so familiar, but it's just so much better in every single way. And so the autofocus is incredible. The unlimited record times. I mean, all of the issues that we had with the A7 III, rolling shutter, 4K slow-mo, flip out screen, again, autofocus, like all of those things were addressed in this camera. It has internal cooling fans so that it should never overheat, even in hot days when we're filming weddings or whatever. And I think the part that blew my mind the most is that we can still shoot 4K 24 at the exact same bit rate as the A7 III, but in 422 10-bit color now.
Yeah.
Which is kind of insane, because the biggest reason the Ursa didn't work out is the file sizes were so massive. Obviously, the 4K slow-mo is bigger file sizes, but at least if we're filming just normal speed 4K, it doesn't come at a storage space cost over the A7 III, which is really, really cool.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely packed a punch for sure. Just using
built-in XLRs. I mean, we ran audio from a boom pole directly into the camera for an all-day shoot on Tuesday.
Yep.
And just using the physical knobs and all of that, like it was at least as good of a cinema camera experience as the Ursa was, but it was so much smaller of a package. That's
what I was going to say, is like the Ursa was so huge. We bought a huge, Pelican for it. And as it was built out, I mean, it was just really big. It was really heavy. We had to use the chest rig and just all of that. This thing, I feel like fully built out. So if you are on YouTube, you can see. If not, go to our YouTube. We, again, are going to have a ton of videos on this camera, but how we built it out, this fully built out, it still feels like similar to the A7 III built out.
Yeah,
like, totally. I know that's weird, but the camera itself was so much lighter. We did an unboxing, and which will also be dropping on our YouTube channel, but shameless plug. But out of the box, I was like, this doesn't feel...
It feels hollow.
It feels hollow.
Because I think of the magnesium alloy body, I think the A7 III uses aluminum.
Yes.
And the FX3 uses magnesium, and it's lighter.
Yep.
So yeah, it is very surprising when you grab the camera body out. It almost feels like there's nothing inside it because it's so lightweight.
Yeah, and it's incredible. So workflow does not change other than our image and our color, and just really all over performance is just going to be better. So like, it just made sense. We did have a couple A7S IIIs on back order, and the more we researched it and the longer the delay became, we were like, why don't we just look into other options? So Austin looked into the FX3, and honestly, it just made sense. We canceled our A7S IIIs and just ordered these a couple days after. And honestly, they were on back order as well, but they shipped like a week or two after.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
And so we got a notification, and it was like B&H like shipped your order, and we're like, what the heck? Because and we were anticipating the A7S3s to take, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks. And then it said a few months or something. And then we were like, well, maybe we'll buy some used or look online. You can't even buy a used one for the same price of a new one anywhere.
Nope.
So it just didn't make sense. And again, we were ready for a new camera and an upgrade. We've been using the A7 IIIs for years. I mean, literally 3.5 years. And so it was just time. And we're super excited. We use our gear to the best of its ability until it really limits our work. And I felt like we really hit a lid with the A7 IIIs. We do love those cameras. We're shooting this podcast on that camera. We use them for stills all the time. And we're going to keep the 3 bodies that we have. We actually sent them in to service them and just get them nice and cleaned up just to be able to use for studio cameras, to use them for stills. Our teams will use them for weddings and all of that stuff. So yeah, they're great.
Yeah, super excited to see what the FX3 will bring. And obviously the big downside is the resolution is limited to 12 megapixels. So like Darren said, we'll be keeping the A7 IIIs. They're way too valuable to get rid of. And we will definitely find use for those as stills photos or stills cameras, behind the scenes cameras, all of that good stuff.
Love it.
Speaking of storage space, the next thing that we got and really just we're hitting the limit again on the current system. So up until this point as a company, we've been running off of 2 desktop, big 12 terabyte drives that we'll kind of update year over year as we fill them up. We back them up every night using ChronoSync to a backup drive so that it's synchronized and redundant. But we were literally hitting the lid on our storage space. Brady was editing a video this week and she's like, hey, the disk is completely full, which if you know anything about hard drives, you really don't want to let them get completely full ever. And so that's a really scary place to be when you have projects that are on those drives and you do not want to lose them. I cannot think of anything worse that could happen, honestly, besides somebody getting seriously injured, aside from losing footage from a shoot.
Right.
Especially something like a wedding. So we decided it was time to invest and scale that system up. After researching different RAID enclosures and all of that stuff, we ended up landing on the OWC Thunder Bay Flex 8, which is a RAID system that can hold up to 8 drives and essentially is just Thunderbolt 3 compatible. So you plug it in to the computer using Thunderbolt 3 and it has software that will configure the RAID, make sure that everything's backed up. And so I haven't set that up yet, but we did order 8 14 terabyte hard drives. So we went from 1 12 terabyte to 8 14 terabyte, which I think gets us total of 114 terabytes or something crazy.
Math.
So a lot of storage space. Not all of that will be usable. It'll be probably half of that because we want to make sure everything is on 2 disks at once, which the RAID software will allow you to configure. And I really don't know much about RAID. I have to learn more about it. But I'm excited to get that set up.
Yeah, it's been awesome to just kind of upgrade and see some of this gear being upgraded, our storage system being upgraded. Because right now, another exciting thing that we'll tell you in just a second here, but as having a team here at Glory Visuals now, we are all operating off different drives and having to dump footage from Bray's computer to ours, to our drives, and it's just been really annoying.
It's really time consuming.
There's been like multiple days, I think, lost in the last few weeks that it's just transferring over. Then you start your project.
That's
and obviously
actually the biggest thing. I didn't even really hit on that.
That's the biggest thing. And so that kind of prompted us to go and research. And obviously there's like the jellyfish option and there's a lot of things that we've looked into and just, didn't have the 10 or 20,000 to drop on a storage system. And even as we've grown and probably could make that move, like, is it the best move for us? Is it not? And just really having those discussions. And I think we really found a solution. I think all in, what was the system?
Yeah, so it was just over $3,000 total. For, like I said, they're Seagate Exos drives. If you want to be specific, they're very good drives from what I can tell. They're 14 terabytes and total cost for the enclosure plus all 8 drives was just over $3,000. Compared to low-end jellyfish is going to be $11,000 and up.
Totally.
And what you hit on is really the biggest pain point aside from strictly running out of storage is if I want to, take a wedding film, for example, put it on an edit drive, it takes 2 hours to transfer off of a consumer to hard drive because the transfer rates are so slow. They're like 80 megabytes per second on these desktop drives. This new system being able to be configured in a way that uses multiple drives at once, you can get up to 2,700 megabytes per second, which is obviously multiple tens of times faster.
It's a little bit of an upgrade.
And the configuration that we'll have won't be quite that fast, but I think we're going to go for a little bit of a compromise on speed and redundancy.
Yeah.
So you can have 2 drives fail, still maintain all of your data, but it's still faster. So the benefit of this is we work off of external solid state drives, which have a high transfer rate. So now with a main storage system that has a high transfer rate, we should be able to transfer an entire, 300 gigabyte project onto an edit drive in a matter of 5 minutes instead of 2 hours.
Right.
So that's really the main benefit. We could have gone a network attached storage that we can all just edit from at once. But again, those are going to be much more costly to be able to edit 4K video off of. And it really didn't make sense to save a few minutes here or there. And we just decided that if we're just intentional with backloading and loading projects onto those drives the night before, start the transfer when you leave work, and it should be good to go by the time you get there. So
yeah, it's going to increase our productivity, and that's the most valuable thing as a business owner is time.
Absolutely.
And we're going to save a significant more amount of time for $3,000. It's a no-brainer.
Yep.
So going on to the last and final, I guess, like kind of update and exciting thing. What did we do in the last couple weeks?
We hired another employee.
We hired another full-time employee.
We did. Our friend Ray, he is awesome. And again, like is kind of the story with all of our employees. Like he's been grinding with us for the past
couple years.
3 years on church stuff.
Yeah.
Was on our team. We really had a chance to teach him and impart into him, and he's grown a ton and is just a really awesome guy and will be a great addition to the team. He's been editing a lot of our vlogs, and really his official title is like content lead. So essentially he'll be really in charge of managing the shooting and the editing process of our internal content, most importantly. So podcasts, YouTube videos, vlogs, all of that stuff will really fall on his plate, and then whatever else he has time for, he can edit outside of that.
Yeah, and we're really excited. We love making content for you guys, and we love the podcast. We love YouTube, but we have only been doing it for about a year, and I think that we could be more consistent and even level up that stuff. And so we want to bring more value to you guys, and it just made more sense now that we have somebody on staff that can actually edit that stuff. Austin and I aren't bogged down by chopping up a vlog. It just doesn't make sense for us anymore. Yep. And we can focus on building out this space, renting out our spaces. We have other business ventures that we have ideas for and are chasing after. And so we can really lead well, and we have a team of people that are super solid, that are supporting and chasing the vision with us. And we could not be happier with having Ray on the team. Yeah,
it was really cool. We we were in Minnesota, and we forgot to kind of go through even our last few weeks, which have been crazy.
Yeah.
But we were in Minnesota a couple weeks ago, and we were in the airport on our way back home, and we opened up our phone, and there was a YouTube video posted, and it was a vlog of our van build out, one of the segments of that.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to be able to watch a piece of content that we'd shot it a few months ago at this point.
Yeah.
But like seeing it, I hadn't watched it prior. I think I maybe like reviewed through it one time, but like I didn't know it was getting posted. I didn't make it the thumbnail. You didn't make the thumbnail.
Yeah.
We didn't schedule it. We didn't write a description, and we didn't edit it. And we just like got to watch it in the airport.
It was sick. It was so
really,
cool.
Yeah, which was
I was
really
like, is this
cool.
weird that I'm like watching our vlog right now, like as
It is,
entertainment?
but whatever.
Whatever. It was cool. I laughed at ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we're kind of funny sometimes, I think.
I found that the only way to not get self-conscious and insecure about our content is just to shoot it and then walk away.
Yeah, for sure.
If I have to look at myself or hear myself, like as long as I don't see it before it gets up on YouTube and it's too late, I can't do anything about it.
It's locked in.
We're good. So anyways, that's a few updates. And like I said, we've been out of town a ton and shooting a lot of stuff. We shot for a company in Minnesota, shooting insulation on a building outside in the cold. It was very, very cold.
It was like -23 wind chill.
Yep. It was bad.
I'd like to say that I got a high pain tolerance, or I'm not as much of a baby. Maybe with age, I'm going to be 32 this month. So yeah, it was rough.
So here's the thing. He shows up to the shoot. It's -10 out. And he's wearing one layer of socks and Vans Ultra Ranges, which are like the thinnest shoes. Like they're like water shoes, essentially.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, like you own snow boots.
I know. I was so pissed.
So the whole time he's just standing there like this. And the client's like, hey, do you want to go inside the ice tent? They had an ice fishing tent inside the house because it's so cold. Their construction guys and them need to like pop in there to like warm their hands up. They have like a gas little furnace going all the time.
Well, and the funny thing is I used to actually work in a freezer, and we had to do 45 minutes of work and then you do 15 warm up. And so it was very similar to that. But in my head, I was like, that was no big deal. But I remembered when I worked in the freezer, you wear overalls, you have like a Carhartt thick jacket, beanie, gloves, like multiple layers, and you're like moving a ton.
Yeah.
We didn't, like, we were shooting, but we weren't like doing manual labor.
Right.
And so, yeah, I way underestimated, and I'll never do that again.
It was still fun though. We had the vibiest hotel.
Yeah, super cool.
We ended up chilling and talking to the bartender for like 4 hours one night, which was really fun.
Yeah.
Just an interesting experience.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and we love the client that we shot with. It was a blast. We have tons of shoots lined up with them this year in warmer climates, so that's cool. But we're super excited about that. But that's a little bit of a update of like where GV is at, what we've been up to, new gear, new employees, traveling, having a lot of fun, building our company. It's been such a blast. Maybe you're listening to this and you're like, man, like, they got new stuff and, you know, they're spending money and I don't have that kind of money, or I can't afford a RAID system or new camera, or like, I wish I could hire somebody, but it just doesn't make sense. Guys, like, we've been there time and time again. Yep. We still face that question or that insecurity or that thought process very often. As business owners, I think that we're really challenged at times to have those hard conversations together with ourselves, with our wives, of like, man, we got to do this or make this move, or this company may fail. And so I just truly believe that we've been given the ability by God to run this company. God never said that life is just going to be super comfortable. And I think that when we get to a place that we're living in comfortability, it's really, really scary. I know there's been times for us where everything just kind of felt like it was okay and good, and bills were getting paid and we were getting our paychecks, and we could have lived in that. But then there came a time where like you and I had to discuss like, hey, I think it's time to like step out and do something a little risky and scary. And honestly, it's in those moments when you take risks, when you hire somebody, when you stretch and you buy that extra camera that's going to help you expand and grow your company, when you just see God open up tons of doors of opportunities. So I would say, Austin, that you're a little bit more apprehensive on making like big, scary changes, just like in the nature of who you are, which is really great. Cause I'm like, let's just do it. Let's jump off the bridge. Like, we'll be fine. There's water down there. And like, you're like, but like, you don't know how to swim and you might die. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. But God's got me. It's fine. Is like a perfect analogy. But, what has changed for you where you're like, okay, let's make this scary change. Let's hire this person. Let's actually stretch and buy these cameras. How have you gotten there?
It's a good question. I think the biggest thing is just looking back at God's faithfulness in the past.
Yeah.
You might not have any faith that it'll work out. But once you do it a couple times, and now that we have done that a couple times and just seen provision and increase and the blessing on the other side of that, it almost has changed something in me where now I'm like, okay, well, how fast can we run? Like and we've definitely started running faster in terms of scaling our business. Like 2 years ago, even a year ago, if you had asked me, like, do you think you're going to hire 2 employees in 2 months? Like, heck no. Yeah. Like maybe in the next 4 years.
Right.
Like, and we went 2.5 years before we even really considered hiring our first person.
Totally.
So it gets easier each time you do it because you have seen the proof multiple times. Yep. And so now like I'm in a place where I'm just like, okay, as long as I'm being like, I want to make sure I'm being obedient and staying in the lane that you have me in. I don't want to just start blazing my own path.
Totally.
But how much have I been the limiting factor in that path moving forward?
Yes.
I don't want to be the limiting factor anymore.
Yep. I think some of the most crucial parts about this too is like, we don't just wake up one day and make a decision and I go to Austin, hey, we're going to spend this much money on new gear today, and just like go and blow a bunch of cash, or hey, we should go start this thing, or we should spend a bunch of time to build out this studio and just not work on projects. It's very, very strategic and thought out. We ask for a lot of counsel from our wives almost all the time. If our wives don't feel good about something, we don't really pull the trigger or move forward. So we use that kind of as a litmus test. And then there's a lot of friends that we have that own businesses or really love and care about our business and the growth of it and the health of it. And so we get in the right circle of people and ask the right questions. Not everybody. That circle is very small. Of who we allow to speak into our business, because some people, even though they may seem like they have a good idea for you or they want the best for you, it may not be the best advice. And so you have to be very careful on who you let in. It can't just be some business guru that you saw on TikTok or Instagram. It actually has to be somebody that believes in you, that knows you, that cares about you, cares about your family, your kids, your wives. And so just don't let anybody speak into that. So that's been super huge for us. And that's really why we have this podcast, is an outlet for you guys to reach out, ask questions. You may not know us personally, but we do care about you and your business, and we want to see you win. That's why we do this podcast. We don't even have sponsorships right now. We don't get paid money to do this. We do it, and we add the value that we can bring to you guys is really important to us, so that you guys don't make the mistakes that we made, because we've made a ton. And if we can help you guys win and get there faster, that's totally our goal. And so definitely reach out, hello@gloryvisuals.com, or go to any of our social media platforms at gloryvisuals and ask us questions. We have tons of people hitting us up all the time. Hey, how did you file sales taxes? What kind of are you an S Corp? How did you get your first retainer client? I mean, we have people coming in, people asking us questions all the time. Yeah, and we just love people so much, and that's why we do this.
Yeah, well, guys, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Thanks for bearing with me and my voice currently. I promise it'll be better for the next one.
Yeah.
But thanks again. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be notified of our next video.
Ding.
Leave a comment to say what you'd like us to cover in a podcast episode if you'd like.
Yeah.
And like Darren said, hit us up anytime, hello@gloryvisuals.com, or on our social media @gloryvisuals. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Peace out.